Hi, good evening, everyone, and extremely sorry for the delay. So there was something that was going on. Anyways, I'm done with that. Welcome to the 100th episode of Let's Talk About Market. Uh, I mean, it's been a great experience to be having this show, and continue till 100 episode. Unfortunately, today's episode will be the last one, at least for now. We'll be thinking of some other format in which we can effectively communicate with y'all and probably be engaged with y'all. So yeah. Nevertheless, we'll start with the session. Let me just quickly share my screen, and if someone can please confirm if y'all are able to see my screen properly. Yeah. If someone can please confirm. Okay. Thanks, Akash, for the confirmation. So, if you see the candles in the Nifty index, these are now getting smaller and smaller and kind of indicating that the momentum is losing its steam. And this is what, we had meant by saying that the swing and the average swing are giving those indication of, momentum turning around. And all this is happening, around this 26,000 mark, where the open interest has been very high for the call, for the 26,000 call. And if we see the average swing also, it has kind of plateaued. Uh, if we see other short term indicators which are a good indication of a near term market top or bottom, so even those seems to be flattening out now. See, typically in this sort of situation, two of it happens. Either we end up seeing some correction, and in that correction you end up getting swing towards the lower end. Swing, average swing towards the lower end. Or what can happen is that, sorry, so what can happen is that it will continue to go down inch higher, go down inch higher, and that way you will end up forming some positive, negative divergence, and only then it will correct. So which one will it play out, I don't know. But that is the reason, what I can safely say is that the up move that was supposed to happen from here, we are kind of in the late stage of that. What may happen is that, you can see over here, right? There was this negative divergence, and then there was this correction. So I would tend to think that if at all there is some correction that we end up seeing, then we have to relook the data and how things are. But at this point of time, if you want to form a long position, I think it's a bit late right now. The next opportunity may end up rising when you have the swing, average swing towards the oversold zone. Maybe that's where you will end up having an good setup. But until then, I think it's either better to wait on the sidelines. But if you'll have the position, then it's better to keep trailing. And the best way to trail is that to trail it with the 40-hour average, right? This we have been mentioning for a day or two now, that here it took support at the 40-hour and then it turned around. uh, and Yeah, now we are seeing some sort of correction. So maybe in this consolidation, you end up testing the 40-hour and RMI goes over here, and then it again picks up. If it has to continue to rise higher on the upside. But yeah, basically, 40-hour should be kind of your trailing level. If it breaks on the downside, then it would be prudent to just take a back seat, and just wait and watch, because at this point of time, we're kind of having this mixed thing that is going on. While we have broken above the 20-hour average, but the Nifty index is still trading, broadly in this 2000 point kind of range. Okay. So when we are towards the upper end of the range, we need to be a little careful, because there is always a risk of a further correction that can come in. So the the best idea was, somewhere over here we try and play for a bounce, which possibly seems to have played out. Now you should either keep trailing, or maybe if you want to just book out, then just book out and wait for the next leg of trade to play out. So the next leg of trade will possibly come either if you end up breaking this resistance zone on the upside, or on the daily chart you end up closing below this support zone. Because I think this support zone, if it's broken on the downside, this support zone, if it is broken on the downside, then there is a risk of a correction, and the final last hope for the bulls will basically be 25,250, which is the 61.8% retracement level of this entire up move. So yeah, I mean, these are the important levels on the downside. So from a trade perspective, maybe 40 hour trailing with that will be a good idea. But to change the view of a bullish stance, I think will require 25,250 to be broken on the downside. And if that breaks on the downside, I mean, things can get ugly, because you need to remember that on the monthly chart, we have still not completed the cycle. And if this 25,250 mark is broken on the downside, then you might not even end up having a positive monthly close, which can get things into trouble. Okay, so these are the watch points that you need to keep in mind. And of course, I have told earlier also that many other indices are also around those crucial points where if you see the small cap index, it needs to break out from this trend line. Micro cap, again a similar thing, where the trend line resistance is at a higher level. So all this resistance zone needs to be broken on the upside for you to even think of a medium term reversal. But over here, the broader idea is that the sentiment was very bad, and from there we have seen a good bounce. Now for the next set of trades, you will need to be a little more patient, and maybe wait for swing, average swing, and so on to give you those indication. So so that's there. And the reason why I'm being a little more skeptical now is also because if you see IT, it is continuing to fall and there is no respite over there. I think auto is inching higher, but I still have my doubts over here, because now, I mean, while the earnings might come and it might be good and so on, but the stocks have also run up way too much, and many of the stocks, I mean, stocks valuations are also kind of high. So you need to be careful over there. PSU seems good, but it has a very low weightage in the Nifty index, and it is almost coming back towards the previous high. Let me also check Nifty PSE. This is BSE PSU index. But yeah, if you see the Nifty PSE index, it is still quite some time, I mean, quite far from the all-time high. So maybe there can be some opportunity over here, given that this range is broken on the upside. But be careful is what I would say, because in many of the cases we are now starting to see momentum also falling. So I just feel that we need to be a little more watchful here. It's not like an easy trade which was, so just give me a, yeah. So it is not like around this point, where we had those clear signs of oversold, and sooner or later a bounce back had to happen. That was kind of more easier trade than this. I mean, now it is just crawling higher, and I don't know. I mean, how much can it extend? So that's where wait out for the next set of trade to occur. And maybe in that breakout you might end up getting some sector that is leading our way. I think when I was checking even RRG, I had seen Nifty MNC. I don't know if I have it over here. I have it over here. So MNC was the one where it was looking good on RRG, and now I'm seeing that there is this range that seems to be breaking on the upside. I haven't done the work to see who all are going up and who is impacting positively and so on. But yeah, I mean, MNC is the one that seems to be looking good. I think PSU is the one that is there. I think PSU Bank, honestly, I wasn't really expecting such blockbuster move, but we have seen that, and I think after SBI's result, the sentiment has changed over there completely in the favor of bulls, and so that's there. And in fact, even metals also, you can see that it took support at the 40R and now again rising higher. And just to give you a context, I think we had spoken about this, that yeah, this is the breakout point. So I think as long as it is sustaining above the breakout point, it should be okay. I think there can be some trouble if first it breaks the 40R, and then if it goes down below this breakout point. I think if those were to happen, then we kind of need to be very, very careful. Uh, but yeah, I mean, like in all the index, you're kind of observing that there are negative divergence and the momentum is also now turning on the downside. So usually, these all indications are an early signs of some things ending. Now it can very well happen that metal ends up going into a sideways consolidation, which can again lead to RMI going back to the zero line and so on. But I mean, those are all things that you can't predict, right? So the natural tendency would be to first either trail the reversal levels, or maybe in the short term, if y'all are trading, try to take some profits out, and then view it with an open mind as to what is happening. Okay. Because like I said, I mean, the easier trade was to think of a bottom over here and then at least play think of a bounce. Of course, other sentiment indicators being very oversold and all those things, that kind of indicates that maybe in the medium term the breakout can occur. But you should not forget that, as I told you, always indicators will give you some indication, but you will need those price action confirmation. Because over here also several times I got fooled, thinking that it will go towards the other extreme, but it again fell down, right? Over here also I thought it might we might see short covering and that leading to Nifty up move. That also did not happen. So I don't want to get, I mean, be fooled thrice, or for the fourth time. So this time I'll be a little more cautious and let this breakout happen. And at this breakout, we will be watching the data very carefully as to what is happening, and then from there, we can end up taking a call. So so these are my thoughts at this point of time. I mean, if you'll have anything to add or any other observations you'll have, please let me know. But yeah, I mean, I just think that this is getting a bit stretched now, at least in the short term. What I'm talking out from is is more from a short term perspective. From a medium term perspective, we are anyway stuck in a range. So until this high, if it's decisively broken on the upside, or this low is not broken on the downside, we might end up getting such lackluster move. So that is how I'm seeing the markets at this point of time. So yeah, I mean, if at all you all have any queries, do let me know. Akash says I want daily sessions. Yeah. No, I mean, this, of course, doing this Let's Talk About Market episode, I mean, it has personally helped me also to gain, because, to talk, we need to do a lot of research as to what we'll be talking and so on. So in that sense, a great amount of work used to be go over there. But, so we are just trying to experiment on the formats. I think this has been good engaging. We'll try to see if there is something else that we can come up with. In fact, if you all have any suggestion, please do let us know. Apart from this, if you all have any suggestions, do let me know. But anyways, we'll be having those webinars and all those things that will be there. So in that sense, you all will be constantly in touch with us, uh, through some medium or the other. So yeah, I mean, that's there. uh, अजय says hello जय, ब्रेथ चार्ट कैसे देखते हैं निफ्टी एंड निफ्टी 500? सो अजय, इसमें ब्रेथ में there can be two aspects that you can see. It is either the breadth. So breadth mein na, here what we are doing is that we are taking entire market. So maybe this might be more reflective of the entire market and not necessarily Nifty 50 or Nifty 500, but Nifty 500 is anyways a broad index, right? So it can give you some vibes of it, this AD. So of course, 20-day AD is a very short-term one. 40-day is a very, is a little slow and a medium-term one. The other way to also think about breadth is the percentage of stocks about 20 SMA and so on. I mean, usse bhi, you can get a fair idea about how the breadth is. So these are the ways. In fact, there is something called as periodic highs and lows. I mean, in this periodic high, we only consider the high, the stocks that are making high. In net, we minus it by the ones that are making low, and you get the net figure. So you can see that in the past few days, this net 1 month new high is continuously rising, which suggests that the breadth seems to be picking up now. Of course, if this say ends up becoming this reading, so this is an absolute number and not a percentage. And the reason people ask, then how is it in decimal? So we are actually averaging out to make the lines more smooth. So this, historically, if we have seen, at least for the short to medium term, when it comes to around 14 levels or so, that's where you end up getting some sort of top or a sideways correction and so on. So yeah, and in fact, when this was around -10, so at that time it had kind of got negative, and to a point where the short term or a medium term correction does end. So need to see how things unfold. But like I said, I mean, from a medium term perspective, we would need this breakout to happen. But until then, these all indicators can give you a good guide as to, I mean, these can be a good guide to understand how the markets are behaving and so on. Pawan says, hi Jay, is Nifty forming a of distribution on weekly chart? Frankly, I'm not aware about that study, so I don't think I'll be able to comment on that. So sorry about that. I mean, I have no idea about that. Divesh says, hi Jay, can you please check and say what is the perfect level where Nifty breach and we think? So, Divesh, like I said, I think 26,300. See, in markets now, there is no perfect level as such. Okay, you need to back it up with data. So that's why I'm giving you all levels. But if you'll observe, I'm constantly watching the data. I mean, if I have to technically justify, I would say that the Nifty index ka trend is already up and you should be very bullish and so on. Okay, because 61.8 chala gaya. But I can see through the options data that clearly 26,000 has very, very strong open interest on the upside, and I mean, it is acting as a very strong support, right? A strong resistance. So, so I mean, that is why there are no like a rubber stamp level that if this breach then this happen, if this breach and this that happens, because you have to understand, if I were to say that, then you can see this, right? This was 26 to 77. Ideally a break above that would have been super bullish, right? But it did not happen. Over here also, I think this time around it was the weekly close also that was around the highest point. So I was very hopeful कि इस टाइम तो ऊपर जाएगा, but then this happened. So there is no rubber stamp level as such that ये निकलेगा तो होगा ही. But like I told you, if 26,300 breaks on the upside, which will lead to this range breakout, and if you end up seeing even the FI's positioning above this zone, above this 1 lakh zone at least to start with, then you can be hopeful कि ये इधर तक तो आ सकता है at least, minus 10,000 and so, and that itself will, give some leg on the upside, and then we keep constantly reviewing it. But so that's where we are, because see, it's extremely sideways. I mean, any levels I would have thought that this is a breakout, now we should flat. Okay, then it again came down, again went up, again came down. So in a sideways market there are no perfect levels as such. As of now I have 26,350 around a level on my mind, but I of course need to see the data back then. I mean, I need to see what it happens with the data. Only then we'll be able to take a call. Okay. So I hope that answers your question, Divesh. So the whole point is that look at the data, look what is happening. Are the other indices breaking out or no? Because when you see things holistically, that's where you get greater confidence. Or is this forming an Adam and Eve double top? I'm sorry, Pawan. I haven't frankly heard all these terminologies, but if you are asking of double top will end up getting confirmed only a break below 21,700, right? Because that is where this will start looking like a double top breakdown. I don't have the vision at this point of time to think that far. As of now, the working view is that this is the broader range. Either 24,300, 400 breaks on the downside, or 26,300 breaks on the upside. That's where we might end up having some meaningful trade, is what I'm guessing right now. We need to see the data at that point of time, and then see how things play out. Akash says, inform in advance any other platform or format you return. Yeah, sure. Of course, Akash, you can follow us on Twitter. We'll be giving all those updates over there, as to uh, what are we planning to do. So that, y'all can join us and we all can learn things together. So yeah, but yeah, once again, to let everyone know that this is probably the last session that we are having for the Let's Talk About Market. We will be ending this, and maybe after that, we will be thinking of some format to engage with you all, and spread out the word of how to use Strike more effectively. So yeah, I mean, if you all have any suggestion, please do let us know. Option IVs and price rise, and the prices rising in the last 2 hours, even Nifty rise. What do you think? Actually, I did not observe this. Let me just see the India VIX ka hourly chart. So it isn't any, I mean, it is not really meaningful of the rise that we have seen. And in fact, even Nifty, maybe hourly, there hasn't been any significant rise as such. So I don't think I won't read too much into all those things. 25,000 put option. Okay, but 25,000 put option is anyways almost 1,000 point away. So I don't know, maybe people might be, shorting it, maybe to eat the premium for the weekly option and so on. Or else I don't think I'll read too much into it. The only thing, actually, this today, as you was talking about it, I did not observe what is the OIPCR. So okay, now OIPCR has gone back to below one, and you can see a lot of call shorting has happened today. So I think 26,000 on a spot level or around the future level. Spot level is right now more important because the weekly expiry happens around the spot levels, and a lot of this data is kind of dictated by the weekly averages. So if I remove the combined OI and just see 17th ka weekly expiry, so it tells us that this 26,000 call has a very very strong open interest. And if we see on the put side, it is 25,900, but there also we are not really having a very strong put addition as such. But yeah, I mean, crossing 26,000 in the near term seems like a meaningful hurdle. I thought that maybe PCR must have risen higher, but in fact it has gone down to my surprise. Actually, this has happened because more call shorting would have happened. So yeah, I mean, watch out for this range. And I think on the derivative side, if 25,900 breaks on the downside, you might end up seeing some weakness, which by the way is also what swing, average swing, and the RMI and the loss of momentum in RMI is kind of telling us. So yeah, I think that is how I would want to explain it. View on Bank Nifty. See, I mean, if you ask me, relatively, Bank Nifty is stronger than Nifty, but since it is making new highs, but more or less, even if you see Bank Nifty after that spike, it has just, I mean, it is just kind of stuck in that range, and not so broadly. If I have to even forget about this spike, okay, broadly, it has done nothing since last 1 or 2 months as such. It is just going sideways. And unfortunately, even if I see any of the component within Bank Nifty, those also doesn't look like anything will fire apart from SBI. So SBI is doing actually all the heavy lifting. But if you see the other stocks, HDFC, nothing. In fact, it is on a downward sloping channel. ICICI Bank is just consolidating, right? It is just consolidating. Kotak Bank, again, I think trendless. Kotak Bank, even if you see, I mean, this is also trendless. So there is no meaningful trend that we are seeing internally in the components apart from PSU banks which are firing. Now, do PSU bank has those legs to take Bank Nifty much, much, much higher? I mean, I doubt so, because it is broadly only Bank of Baroda and SBI which has like a very large weightage. Rest, I don't think it's anything great. So I hope that answers your question. Fine. So I think we are 30 minutes into the session. And once again, thanks a lot for all your support, throughout this 100 episode. And thanks all for your inputs as well. And thanks for being patient with us. I mean, bringing out new features or stabilizing it has taken some time. I think we have built the base pretty good now. I think scaling up from here should be uh, much more easier than what it was earlier, because there has been, while you might not see anything changing on Stripe, but there's a lot of work that has been done to make the system capable enough that we scale to a lot of new features. Because earlier when we were putting out any new features, it was causing problems. So a lot of time has gone to fix that base and make the base very very strong. I think in the coming days, weeks, and months, you will end up seeing a lot of things rolling out, including the mobile app, where the team is working very very hard to bring it. And even in the mobile app, you might end up having web like experience where there is not much compromise that we have done on the data, but we have tried to show all the important and the relevant things. So watch out for I mean, in the coming weeks and months, for firstly the Stripe app that we are going to launch, and apart from that, the new features that we will start rolling out post that. Okay. So once again, thanks a lot for all your support, and yeah, I hope to see you all soon, and I hope we end up thinking of some format that will be a lot more engaging and will be beneficial for you all. Okay, so thanks for joining today, and with that, we'll be winding up the Let's Talk About Market series. And yeah, thank you so much.